Chapter 29. Masonwork. He had all at once remembered the resolution of the goblins to carry out their second plan upon the failure of the first. No doubt they were already busy, and the mines were therefore in great danger of being flooded and rendered useless, not to mention the lives of the miners. When he reached the mouth of the mine, after rising all of the miners within reach, he found his father and a good many more just entering. They all hurried to the gang by which he had found his way into the goblins' country. There, by the foresight of Peter, had already collected a great many blocks of stone with cement, ready for building up the weak place, well enough known to the goblins. Although there was not room for more than two to actually be building at once, they managed, by setting all the rest to work preparing the cement and passing stones, to finish in the course of a day the huge buttress filling the whole gang and supporting everywhere with the live rock. Before the hour by which they would usually drop work, they were satisfied that the mine was secure. They had heard the goblins' hammers and pickaxes busy all the time, and at length fancied they could hear the sound of water they had never heard before. But that was otherwise accounted for when they left the mine, for they stepped into a tremendous storm which was raging all over the mountain. The thunder was bellowing, and the lightning lancing down from the huge black clouds which lay about it and hung over its edges of thick mist to the sides. The lightning was breaking out of the mountains too, and flashing down on the clouds, breaking the mountain in parts. From the state of the brooks, now swollen into raging torrents, it was evident that the storm had been storming all day. The wind was blowing as if it would blow him off the mountain, but anxious about his mother and the princess, Curdie darted up through the thick of the tempest. Even if they had set out before the storm came, he did not judge them safe, for in such a storm their poor little house was in danger. Indeed, he soon found that but for the large rock against which it was built, and which protected it from both the blast and the waters, it must have been swept if not blown away. For two torrents into which the rock parted, the rushing water behind it, united again in front of the cottage. Two roaring, dangerous streams which his mother and the princess could not possibly have passed. It was only with great difficulty that he himself forced his way through one of them and came up to the door. The moment his hand fell on the latch, through the uproar of wind and water came the joyous cry of the princess. "Curdie's here! Curdie! Curdie!" She was sitting wrapped in a blanket on the bed, his mother trying for the 100th time to light the fire which was being drowned by the rain coming down the chimney. The clay floor was one mess of mud, and the whole place looked wrecked. But the face of his mother and the princess shone as if their troubles only made them merrier. Curdie burst out laughing at the sight of them. "I have never had such fun," said the princess, her eyes twinkling and her pretty teeth shining. "How nice it must be to live in a cottage on the mountain." "It all depends on what kind your inside house is," said his mother. "I know what you mean," said Irene. "That's the kind of thing my grandmother says." By this time Peter had returned, the storm nearly over, but the streams were so fierce and swollen that it was out of the question that the princess would go down the mountain, but most dangerous for Peter even, or Curdie to make the attempt in the gathering darkness. "They'll be dreadfully frightened about you," said Peter to the princess, "but it cannot be helped. We must wait till the morning." With Curdie's help, the fire was lighted at last, and the mother set about making their supper. After supper, they all told the princess's stories till she grew sleepy. Then Curdie's mother laid her on Curdie's bed, which was in the tiny little garret room. As soon as she was in the bed, through a little window low in the roof, she caught sight of her grandmother's lamp shining far away beneath, and she gazed at the beautiful silvery orb until she fell asleep.